This week we read two Parshiyot, Vayakhel and Pekudei. And we finish the book of Shemot. The book of Shemot is the story of the Exodus, story of going through the sea, the story of standing at Mount Sinai, and fortunately the story of building a golden calf, and the story of building a house for God. And the story ends up with God's presence filling up that particular house. This week has not been an easy week for many people. A lot of people stayed home. A lot of people were ordered to stay home. Unfortunately, there are people who are ill as well, and we pray that that number doesn't go up. In order to do that, we're taking a lot of precautions. This Shabbat, a lot of us are going to be spending home with family. We're going to pray. We'll read through the Parsha. I actually recommend specifically this week to read Shtay Mikra Ve'echad Targum, to read it at the time that we would have Kriyat HaTorah. Maybe to explain it to if we have younger children, to read the Torah, and we will do the Targum, we will explain it. It's very important for us to prepare for Shabbat and to honor the Shabbat. That even though we're not leaving the home, put on the clothing for Shabbat. I mean, deep down, we put on the clothing for Shabbat, not for others, not for people who may see us. We put the clothing on to honor the Shabbat. And it's important. We'll have our meals together, and we'll sing together, and we'll talk together. And I certainly hope that we'll laugh together as well, because that's also part of what this is. It's still Adar, still a month of celebrating, still a month of happiness. And sometimes that gets clouded or that gets eclipsed because of such a serious situation which is going on. So one very, very quick thought. One of the elements of the story of the book of Shemot was right before they left Egypt. And at that moment, that night before, what is it that God said to Moshe to tell the people? Everybody stay in their homes. Everybody stay there and serve God. And that evening it was the Passover service. Everybody stay there and the plague will come and it won't strike us and we'll be saved. I'm not one to predict. I don't know what exactly God has in mind. But if we've been ordered to stay home to protect ourselves, we hope whatever plague is outside will not come in our homes, and the plague will fly by and will not affect people, and we'll be saved. But just like then, right after they left their homes, it was the redemption. We really do pray that the redemption will come soon. In this week's Parsha, we read about the Shabbat. And perhaps keeping this Shabbat properly is really an element of that redemption. Shabbat is Me'ein Olam Haba. We're going to keep the Shabbat properly with our song and with our prayers and with our learning and with our clothes and with the people that we love. And one last thought. There are some people who are perhaps isolated by themselves, and it's harder to reach out to them Shabbat in this situation. But let's try to call them before Shabbat. Let's see if they need anything. Let's call them after Shabbat as well. Let's see how they're doing. People who are isolated also need to feel that they're part of the community. And even though we shut the shuls in order to protect the community, just because we're all sitting in our homes doesn't mean we're not a community still. We are. Call those who are isolated, call those who perhaps are afraid, call those who feel that they're alone, and let them all know that we are truly one community, even though we may be in different homes. And may all of us in our homes not be affected whatsoever from this plague, and we all have a beautiful, healthy Shabbat.